and today we are here to talk about creating Gutenberg blocks with ACF. So let me check with you, how many of you guys are developers? Wow, that's like going to make my job a lot easier to make you guys understand, because you already know a lot of the stuff. That's really great. Okay. When I started learning building blocks with Gutenberg, my situation had been something like this. I'm sure many of you can relate to this. It is not just Gutenberg, but whenever you're doing coding, you're like happy, your project is going to go live soon, all set, it's going to go smoothly, and all of a sudden you get a bug and everybody is just smiling and you are like, okay, awesome. So what are Gutenberg blocks? Gutenberg is actually a block-based editor in WordPress. It's a new way of editing in WordPress. So earlier we had the classic editor. I'm sure you worked with that earlier, whoever's worked with. Okay, let me ask you this. How many are WordPress developers? Quite a few. Of course, the WordCamp, we will have WordPress developers. But so I'm sure you'll then be answering questions then very easily. You have worked with classic editors, you have worked with Gutenberg, isn't it? Yes? Awesome. Okay, so every content element, which is heading, paragraph, or YouTube embed, is a block. So they came up with an idea of breaking all the elements into small pieces. And it's a collection of blocks that makes up the content on the page. So what was the need for Gutenberg blocks? Yes, go ahead. Can someone give him a mic, please?
So we can't write like short codes with like blocks, then widgets, like and videos. We have like in blog editor we have lots of widgets and video, images, galleries. Widgets are available in blocks.
Okay.
So there is a problem with classic editor.
So let's see what the problem is. Thank you very much. Let's clap for him, guys. Awesome. Thank you. So with the classic editor, okay, this is a GIF, so it's just going to take time to go back to the original position. So if you do a copy paste from a Word document, you guys have done that before. If you copy paste from the Word document, you would observe that in classic editor, the format and everything changes. It isn't the same. And when you publish your post, then on the front end, it may look a little different than what is there in the editor. That was the problem with the old editor. But now, with Gutenberg block, really solved that problem. So if you now go ahead and copy paste from a Google document and you paste it into the editor, you can see it looks exactly the same, so there isn't any difference. Is that good or bad? Good? Great, awesome. So you must be wondering that this talk is about building blocks. So why are we even discussing all of this? I'm sure many of you people might know about this already. Well, the thing is that some of us have not worked with this, and it's important that we build the base, the ground, before we actually dig deeper into coding, etc. Okay, so some of the features that Gutenberg blocks have is the design. So even if I'm not a developer, I'm just a normal person, just a user, I don't know coding, I can still go ahead and build blocks, and I can really design my content. I don't need to hire a designer for that. Isn't that one of the features of Gutenberg, guys? What do you say? Yes? Right. Reusability. So earlier, if you create content, then you need either a shortcode for it to be able to use it at other places. But if I'm not a developer, can I use it? Probably not. But in Gutenberg blocks, I have reusability. So I can create one block, name it, group it, and then use it at other places, maybe on pages or posts, etc. And definitely it improves your editing experience. So like I showed you in my previous slide, you have an option wherein you can do a copy paste and the format looks exactly the same. So whatever you see in the back end looks exactly the same in the front end. I've got some of the guys smiling on the front end, so I'm sure they can relate to it. Thank you. Okay, so what are different types of blocks? So you guys have worked with core blocks, right? how many core blocks do you remember? Who can name them? So one is paragraph. Okay. I saw one of the guys raising hand from behind. He said, no, I'm not going to answer. Okay, that's fine. So you have paragraph block. Then you have image. You have heading. YouTube. Awesome. What else? Video. Button. Embed. Awesome. I think the stock will get over by the time we finish to the end of the kind of blocks that we have. So these are called core blocks. Okay. So you have paragraph. You have image. You have heading, gallery, list, code, and all of those stuff. Now, there will be times when core block will not be really sufficient for you. So you will need something else. So I'm sure many of you have come into a situation where a client has told you, okay, I'm looking for something like a review. So either you create a template for that in WordPress or you search for different blocks. So how do we actually do that? Well, there are different block plugins and libraries available. So thanks to many of our developers who have developed blocks. So can I check with you guys how many of you have already built custom blocks? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's really nice. 5, 6, 7. Awesome. Guys, can we clap for these beautiful people? Awesome. Great. So I won't be able to show all of them, but I will show you some of them. So there are some of them which are called block plugins, where you get single block. So in case if you want a form, if you want to go ahead and load a form, then you can use this block. You can create, it's called WP form. It's a plugin basically, and you can select these type of blocks. I don't know if it's visible. Is it visible back there? Yeah? Awesome. Great. Then you have one of the very nice block called Ultimate Block. This is basically a library of blocks. So sometimes you may have requirement of multiple blocks. So you can just have one library and you can have all of them. You can see you have content filter, table contents, testimonials, social share, countdown, progress bar, all of these blocks. So that's just pretty nice plugin, by the way. So for example, also from the right hand side, so you have that option available, and you can put in content. And you can change the color as well. So it's pretty nice. You can check this out. Okay, I think we missed that one. Star rating. Okay, fine. Perfect. Okay, so what is the need for building custom blocks? So like I said earlier, we already have core blocks, which basically does all the work for us. And sometimes if we don't have those blocks, probably we can look for different plugins. But you will run into some situations where you really need to build custom blocks for your client, because they will come and say, okay, I want the design to look like this. And probably I want this part over here, and core blocks or the plugins are really helping you. How many of you have come into a situation where the client has demanded you that, and you really don't get that option? None of you? Okay, no problem. So in my case, I had that need where a client requested a particular layout which wasn't really available. So I had to build custom blocks for that. So there are different ways of building blocks. First one is ES5. Who knows what ES5 is? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, nice. Many of you. So ES5 is basically the syntax for JavaScript is considered as native JavaScript. And then you have something called ES6, or you also call it ES-Next and JS6. So in my previous talks, I have explained about these. And since this talk is about PHP, then I won't be discussing all of this. But if you want to check that out, it's there on the WordPress TV. So these are two ways of building blocks. Now, the problem of building blocks with ES6 or JavaScript is that first of all, you need to learn JavaScript and React. How many of you guys already know about JavaScript and React? Okay, we have many people. Alright. So it requires an extra build step for code transformation. So you know that ES6 is not understood by all the browsers. There is one browser who always have a problem in understanding your code. Which browser is that? Internet Explorer, isn't it? Always have a problem. Okay. So how do we make them understand? क्या करें उसको कैसे समझाएं फिर आई को? Okay, so there is something called starting with B. We use a tool for that. And that tool starts with the letter B. What is that?
Babel.
Babel? Who said Babel? Okay, let's clap for him, guys. Awesome. Babel. So Babel is a tool that is a transpiler that allows us to convert modern JavaScript into a JavaScript that all browsers can understand, including which? IE. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. So WordPress initially didn't have this available, and we had to do all the building of these things ourselves. But later on, WordPress came with a package called WordPress Scripts, and that does all the work for us, does all the heavy lifting for us. Can I get some water, please? Water. Okay. So ES5 without JavaScript can run straight into browser, but if we are building blocks with ES6 or React, then we would actually need to have a transpiler like Babel to convert that, and we also need a bundling stuff, which is your WEBPACK. Locating and understanding the compiled source code is difficult, so some of you, if you work with WEBPACK, then you will already know that it builds the code for you. It basically combines all of the files for you and just gives you one file. Thank you. Okay, so tooling around JavaScript could be intimidating. Not everyone may be comfortable with that, like PHP developers who probably have minimal knowledge of JavaScript. So how do we build blocks with JavaScript? So this talk is all about building blocks with ACF for PHP developers, but I think it's important to understand what goes behind the scenes if we have to do with React. And then you can have a side-by-side comparison of which is better for you and which works for you. So first step, if you want to build block with JavaScript, you need to install WordPress scripts, which is going to go ahead and install the Babel and WEBPACK for you, which does the bundling. And then you just run this npm run start. Then you register the block server side using register block type function. Again, I'm not going through this because in my previous talks I've already explained all of this, but this is how it looks like. Register block client side, that's the third step. So what Gutenberg has done for us, it has abstracted React for us and given and put a lot of functions, methods and properties inside of WP object. So you can pull different methods out of WP objects and you can go ahead and register your block and create your block. The reason why WordPress does this is because, for example, some of us who are not really comfortable with React, they can simply write block in native JavaScript as well, which is ES5. And you'll say, this is too much, isn't it? How many of you do you feel like this when you saw all that code? Okay, I can see many hands. Awesome. So what do you do then when you're building block with JavaScript? You say like, what? I have to do so much. Come on, I'm not doing it. I'm okay, I'll just find some library. And if not, I'll just hire one developer who can just build one for me. Isn't it? That's the first thought that will come to your mind. So then again, but if you don't find someone, then you will work, learn. And after that, you will come to a situation like this where you just give up. This is what most people do, right? Even I would do the same. If I'm not able to understand something, I will try for some time and I will just say, okay, leave it. Who will have love cat over here? Who all love cats? Awesome. Well, that's for you. Okay, great. So, can we actually build blocks without using JavaScript? How many of you guys say yes? Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you if you say no. So all of you think that we need JavaScript. We can't build blocks without them, right? Okay. Well, the answer is yes, you can build blocks without JavaScript, and that's the whole reason why this talk is presented here. Because I love my PHP developers who are my friends, who have minimal knowledge with JavaScript. Even they run into a situation where they need to build blocks, and I want to help them today. That's my idea. I can see many people already nodding in approval, so thank you. So let's let's make an announcement. ACF Blocks. How many of you have already heard about it? ACF Blocks. Awesome. ACF is something that you guys already know about, right? So one of you will explain to me what is ACF. Come on, let me hear it from you. Who can tell me what ACF is? Okay, yes, go ahead. Thank you. Advanced custom. What does it do? It's like, why don't you say your name first?
I'm Chetan Prajapati.
Hi, Chetan.
Hi. So ACF is like creating custom fields. It's provide a UI interface in backend, so you can usually create the custom fields in your WordPress.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. Let's have a round of applause for Chetan. Great. Awesome. So ACF Blocks is basically a PHP framework that allows you to build blocks without using JavaScript. So if you are starting to learn JavaScript, starting to learn React, and probably you don't have time, in fact, to learn it, you can simply build blocks with ACF. They will put it into the free version, but that kind of effort that is involved to build this plugin, they've decided to put it into the Pro, which is not very expensive. I think it's around 100 Australian dollars. Once you have this, and trust me, the kind of features it offers, I'm already using it for one of my clients, and it's really working well for me. So you must try it if you haven't already. Okay, so let's go next. So what is ACF? As Chetan already answered, it's a WordPress plugin. It allows you to add extra content fields, custom fields to your WordPress edit screens. But I'm more focused about the people who don't know about this as well, because even they are part of this talk, and I feel it's important that they should know about this. So let me show you what it does. First of all, let me tell you who wrote this. So author is Elliot Condon. He's an Australian developer who has written this plugin. How many of you guys already knew who had written ACF? Okay, many of you. Great. So all you do is you go to your WordPress dashboard. Many of you will say, okay, अब तो कुछ familiar लग रहा है. अभी तक तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या हो रहा है, right? Okay. So you have your WordPress dashboard, and right over here you get an option like custom fields. And you can create different fields over here, and these fields, once you create them, are available to you either on your post or pages or other places as well. So depending on what you select in the settings. So basically they allow you to add extra content. So you can, I don't know if it's clear from there, but this is how you create different fields into the WordPress dashboard. So what are the different features it offers? It allows you to build websites faster and educate your clients quicker. It's available both in free and pro versions. You can try free and then probably check out the pro version features as well. Okay, so now let's come to building blocks with ACF. अभी अपने को पता चल गया Gutenberg क्या है और कैसे हमारी help करता है वो. We got all of that information. Now we're interested in knowing as to how to build blocks if we had to do just with PHP. So what are the steps involved? Let's do a side-by-side comparison. So if you remember from my previous slide, where we had discussed that when using the WordPress block API, which basically focuses on more of JavaScript stuff, you have to install that WordPress scripts package, then register your block server side, register your block client side. So there are many steps involved, but I'm just summing them down to just 3 of them, so it's easy for you to understand. If I had to compare that with building blocks with ACF, so register block server side and use the function called ACF register block type, and then you create the fields and then load the template. Okay, so these are basically just an overview for it. We are going to go through each one of them step by step. Okay, with WordPress block API, you can make static or dynamic blocks. Static means that the one you make with JavaScript. Dynamic means that the one which are rendered server side. And ACF blocks, you have dynamic blocks only, so it is taken care of with PHP. So you have client side or server side, and this is just server side. Okay, so let's build a testimonial block using ACF blocks. Okay, so what do we do? Now there are different ways of doing it. Either you can just put all the code into your functions.php of your theme, or you can just create a small plugin and you can put all of the code there. Its choice is definitely up to you, but I personally like to keep all of my blocks into a plugin. The reason being is that I can then reuse it for my other projects as well if I just isolate it into a plugin. So we just create a directory called ACF Gutenberg Blocks. Then we go inside of that directory. Then we create two files. One is your plugin file and second is testimonial.php, which will basically be a template. So I'm sure many of you might have already created templates in WordPress in theme development. How many of you already tried theme development? Okay, many of you. So then you must have created templates, right? Yeah, okay. So this is my directory structure. Once I create my plugin, you have your main plugin file, which is ACF Gutenberg Blocks, and then you have the template as well. Perfect. We are good so far, guys? Are we going too fast? No? Great. Okay, so let's register block server side. What you can do is you can create a custom function called register block and then hook it to ACF init hook, and then just whenever the script reaches this particular hook, then automatically that function is called. Now ACF register block type takes a parameter called settings. Now this is very similar to the register block type function of JavaScript when we are building blocks with React. So it gives you an option to put all of the parameters that are available with that function. So let's go on and check what are the different settings that are available to us. So first setting is your name. So what do you want to name it as? So if you build blocks with React, generally you put a namespace before that, but here you don't have to do that. You just put the block name. Then title, description. What's that underscore for? That double underscore? It looks like simple. Translation? Okay, awesome, good. I was just checking if everyone is with me. That's good. Render template. So whatever path you put in the render template, that is actually going to go ahead and give you the option to render template. Then this is category. What do you think this is? What is this category for? I can see a lot of people speaking. Would one of you like to speak? You can pass the mic.
Gutenberg block category.
What?
Block category.
Block category. Awesome. Let's clap around it. Thank you. Okay. So you have categories. So basically, whatever category you put over here, that's where your block will appear. Because imagine if you're working for a big project, then you may have like several blocks. So it's good to categorize them. Do you think we can build a custom category also? How many of you think we can build a custom category? Yeah? Okay. How many of you know how to do that? Okay, I still have one. Thank you. So yes, you can build custom categories also. There are functions available in WordPress that you can use to build custom categories also. Okay. Step 2, create fields. This is very familiar to most of you, as you said that you already know about ACF. So creating fields is super simple. So we'll create these fields: testimonial, author, role, image, background color, and text color. So these are the fields that we will create for the example that I want to demonstrate you. Then this is the last thing we need to do is just load the template. This is very similar to using your WordPress templates when you're doing the theme development. Now inside of this template.php, it gives us a variable called block. And this has got different settings that you have defined over there. Now before we jump into what are the different codes that are involved for it, I think it's important to find out what's there inside this variable. What do we get? And then we can probably use it to build our content. So let's print it. So when you print it, you can see you get name, title, description, category. You can see category over there. That's what we defined, right? Then you have keywords, you have support, you have post types, you have render template, that's the path we had given earlier. You have the data. These are the fields that you had registered. The testimonial, author. They look pretty familiar, aren't they? Okay? So this is how it looks like, which means we already got all of the data that we need. We just have to use that data to display all of the content for us into our block. Okay, so we are back into the template.php. So this template is slightly big. So what I've done is I have broken them into smaller parts, so it's easy for you to understand. The first thing we do is we create a variable called ID, and we just check if the block anchor has a value. If it has, we assign to that. And then if it isn't, then we just add another testimonial string and just attach the block ID. So every block has a specific ID through which we can differentiate it. Then we have class name. Okay, so we check if the block has a class name and we just set these values over here. We can also use alignment. So if you work with WordPress blocks, you already know there is a toolbar on top, right? Which says align left, align right, and then you can align it full as well. You guys are aware of it? Yeah? Great. So you can load these values from your fields. So with ACF, you know about this, that you can use get field to get that data. So you use get field to get that data for testimonial. Same thing for author as well. You can get that data and save it into a variable called author. And then similarly, you can do the same thing for role, image. So basically, we're just grabbing the data from a custom fields of ACF, and we are just putting all of that data into our variable so that we can use them while creating our block template. Awesome. So then we are just writing some content. We are just assigning the ID for the block and the class names. All of the variables that we had just defined, we're just reusing them now. Now over here, we are just putting all of this information. So you have text, author, role. Then we also put image. So if we check if the image is available, if the user has uploaded image in the block. If yes, then we'll go ahead and use that using WP get attachment image. And then finally, we can write some style also. You can write styles into your own style sheets as well, but only for demonstration purposes. For this particular example, I'm doing that using the inline style. Alright, finally the code part is over. Okay, there it goes. We have got something else as well. Okay. So this is all the code, it's just putting everything together. Okay, so you select block, and on the right hand side when you write it, then you can see if that content is being uploaded here to the block. So you have selected the block, and then all of the fields that you have defined into custom fields, these are being displayed over here. You put the image, you change the color, you can see all of the light changes. And then you publish it, and you see that in the front end. So we are done with creating our first ACF block with PHP without JavaScript. I think now we can clap for us. Awesome. Great. Okay, you have live preview and edit mode as well. So on top you have a button which says switch to edit. You can edit between live as well as the edit screen as well on the WordPress editor. You have some of the block features, like it purely is a PHP environment. It's called simple templating. You have custom fields compatibility, live previews, native compatibility, anywhere and everywhere, which means you can reuse it. Common questions that we get, how ACF blocks are different from meta boxes. Well, it's just the scope. So meta boxes are save the data into post meta table, and ACF blocks saved it within the post content as an HTML comment. Style block differently in editor. How do we do that? Well, there are two hooks available. One is enqueue block assets. Basically, this is the property name, actually, not hook. And this is used for both editor and front-end styles and scripts. And this one is only for editors. If you want to style your blocks differently in editor, this is how you can use it. Okay. Ways of building blocks. So earlier we had ES5 and ES next. Now we have ACF as well. So this was our situation when we tried to build blocks with React. But once we know now this is the situation now. So we can just simply build blocks faster. Comfortable now? Yes? Right. So this is the Git repo that you can check out the code for. Credits, I want to give credit to WordCamp Vadodara for organizing the event and having me to share my knowledge. I want to thank Elliot Condon for the support he shared with me to present this. ACF for making developers' life easy. I want to thank my sister Navish Padma for making this beautiful design. How many of you like this PPT? So you all can say thanks to my sister, she made this. So just a couple more things, we are done with the ACF part. Articam's WordPress training program, we have released this. So in case if you want to learn WordPress, you can go on to learn.articam.com and it's pretty self-explanatory thing that you can check out over here. Even I have created Codetech Academy where you can get all the free tutorials in different fields like React, JavaScript, WordPress. So you can check this out as well. And yes, we are hiring, so once you learn, you can always apply. If you're confident that you can directly apply. Any questions? Thank you.